Hey folks, Rain on the Road with the long-awaited part 2. A lot has been going on, so I haven't been able to do part 2, and it could be a long time before you find out what's going on, because I'm starting 4 years ago, and the story continues. And the story is about to make a massive shift, so if you see any live videos, they might be very different than the road video you might be expecting. So anyway, here goes, part 2. I believe I left off where I finally was able to leave Kentucky with this bus. So after all day waiting for this guy to get his act together, get his paperwork together, get something notarized, and a lot of conversation, because we're just hanging around, I'm just hanging around with this dude for probably 8 hours or something, and then in between going over to his friend's place. Honestly, the truck wasn't even in his name. I think what happened was that he did all the work for somebody and didn't get paid. That's my guess. And he was just trying to recoup the money for all the labor and everything he had put in to fitting out the back with the deck and all. And that's probably why it wasn't in his name. And then the guy didn't want it because whatever. But again, speculation. So finally get the paperwork, the notarization, the title, everything, and I'm getting ready to go, and I have plates with me from my pickup truck. Also a Ford, by the way, both Fords. So I figure, whatever, I'll slap these plates on here, because when you buy a vehicle and you're transferring plates, I'm pretty sure that's okay to do. That could just be an old myth, but people do it. So that was my plan, and this guy and his compatriots are like, oh, you can't put that on there, that's not legal. And because I had been up for like 36 hours already, they pretty much convinced me that you can't do that. You'll get arrested. And I think in my normal state of mind, I would have been like, well, whatever, it's my call. But I didn't, because I was so exhausted and they were so adamant, and I was in Kentucky. I don't know what the rules are in Kentucky. Maybe they're different than Massachusetts and New Hampshire and whatever, things that I'm used to. So I decided to go with no plate. I have all the paperwork. If I get stopped, I get stopped. I'll be like, look, I just bought this and I'm taking it home. I'm going to roll the dice. And it's like, it was March. So I don't know if it was dark yet, but it was definitely like supper time, right? Or later. It's early evening. I finally get out of this, and it's way down southern Kentucky, too. I don't even remember the name of the town. And I leave. And I'm driving, and somewhere along the way, it occurs to me, maybe I went through one toll booth, it occurs to me that I have no plates. These guys have convinced me I'm like doing some massively illegal thing. And I'm thinking, who's at the toll booths on the interstate? Stadies. That's who. If I go through the toll booth, they're definitely going to see me because I'm going slow and everything else. So I decide to put the avoid tolls on my GPS. Now, if you know anything about GPS, you know that really extends your route, right? So now I've gone from probably the 6 or 8 hours it's supposed to be to more like 12 or some craziness. But that's what I decide. I decide I have to stay off the interstate, and I start driving, and I'm down these like secondary road. These 2-lane roads in Kentucky, going through West Virginia. I don't even know where the hell I was. Pitch black. Darker than a boot, right? No moon, cloudy, whatever. Black. The headlights on this bus are like for useless, right? Not even worth having, pretty much. So I'm driving. I can't see shit. I've driven big trucks, but hadn't really driven anything like this in a while. And I'm going over these mountain roads, Now it's late. By now it's like pushing midnight. Maybe it's 11. I don't know. It's late. And I'm looking for a gas station. And I'm in the middle of nowhere. And I'm thinking, I'm going to run out of gas in this middle of nowhere, 2-lane, nowhere to pull off Kentucky road. But I keep going. Finally, I see a sign, gas next exit, or whatever. I can see the gas station. You can see it's right there at the ramps. Yeah. I pull down. Like I said, it's 11:30 or something. I don't know. Super late. I pull into this gas station. I get out of the bus. And big dog, big, huge, mean dog, going nuts, jumps me. Like, I'm just like, and I'm like, oh my God. And I look, and there's the guy, he's laughing. And isn't he a cop? So it's a cop with the police dog, and he's laughing at me, and now I'm freaking out, because he thinks I'm freaking out because the dog freaked me out, which is a little bit true, but I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I'm in the middle. I've gone all this way to avoid passing a stadium on the highway. I'm in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, and I pull off and there's a cop at the next pump. Are you kidding? With the canine? So whatever, I get my gas, I go inside, I go into the ladies, and I stay in there like way longer than certainly I needed to, hoping this will be gone by the time I come out. I come out, he's still at the register, probably because he's, with the cashier. So I take my time, and I'm looking at Fritos or whatever, just waiting for this fool to leave. So I wait until he leaves, then I go to the register. I pay for my gas, and I get out of there. And I'm like, I can't believe, he didn't notice I have no plate or say anything. It's late, I'm tired, so I keep on driving. And at some point I'm hitting real highway, just not the interstate. So I'm going along, and again, now it's 2:30 in the morning or something. Because like I said, I didn't leave that place until almost dark. And on these 2-lane roads, and they're windy, I'm not doing 70, I'm doing 45. So now I'm all the way up probably Pennsylvania, right? Pennsylvania, New York State border. That's about where I am. And the truck starts to lurch. And it's stuttering and it's sputtering. And I'm like, what? All the gauges look fine. And I'm jerking, and it's just it doesn't want to run. But I'm nursing it, I'm playing with it, I'm putting it in neutral, whatever, just to get to the next exit. I get to the next exit, I get off, there's a gas station right there at the bottom of the exit. Like I say, Pennsylvania, New York border, on some highway. I pull down in there, pop the hood, check the oil, no oil, 0 oil. I don't know if I said in the last video, but I asked the guy about the oil specifically. Does it leak oil? Is there any issue? Oh, no, it's filled up and changed. And I asked him 3-4 times. I said, I got to drive this all the way to New England. I need to know if there's anything I need to know. Just say so. I had already given him the check, the cashier's check. I'm I need to know. It's a long ride. I'm by myself. It's late. No, everything's great. There's not one drop of oil, near as I can tell, in this truck. So I buy oil. I buy 2 quarts, whatever, I put it in, still nothing. I buy 2 more, I put it in, still nothing. I look under the truck, I don't see it. It's not pouring right back out the bottom. Well, I don't know if you know this, but I never knew this, right? Because a car takes 4 quarts of oil. Apparently, a diesel truck takes 4 gallons of oil. I was unaware of this. I've never owned a diesel. So I just keep pouring oil, and now I got 6 quarts in. I don't want to put any more in, because I do know that you shouldn't be putting in too much oil. So I'm just putting it in. I'm I don't know what is going on. And, there's nobody there. It's not the middle of the day where you can wait till some dude pulls up in a big truck and ask him questions. So I put a bunch of oil in. I buy some more to take with me. I check all the other fluids. Now that the truck is running okay. And like I said, it's 2:30 in the morning. Now I got to drive all the way across the state of New York. I'm going to go up to New York and get on the Pike and go over. By the time I get up there, I'm so exhausted. I go like right by, I don't know, I wasn't going to go on the Pike. No, no, no. That's I-90, if you don't know. Interstate 90 goes across Massachusetts with tolls. So I wasn't going to do that. I was going to go in on Route 2, which is a not interstate, but also pretty much parallels the Pike all the way from the western edge of Massachusetts right over to Boston. So somehow I drive right by the turn for Route 2. Like I should be getting off. I'm probably on either 9 or 7 coming up through New York. I don't remember. And I should turn on to 2, but I don't. I just go right on by because I'm so exhausted. I'm probably sleep driving. I don't even know. Now I see a sign for Vermont, and I'm like, oh my God, damn it. And I realized that I missed my ramp somehow. I probably wasn't even looking because I have the GPS on, right? But you know, sometimes your GPS goes off and you don't know it because you got no service. So anyway, now the truck starts to stutter again, and it is literally dawn. Okay, so now it's Tuesday morning. If you remember, Saturday night, never really slept because I was keyed up about going. Sunday, I'm flying all night and took like an hour nap at the airport. Monday, I'm with that dude all day. Now it's Tuesday, pre-dawn, and I'm pulling in to Bennington, Vermont, and my truck is stuttering. And now that it's daylight, I can look in the rear view and I can see the oil running on the ground as I drive. I can see the trail of oil I am leaving on the street, and I'm freaking out. And I pull into Bennington, which is a town that I'm familiar with. And I'm just like, oh my God, just let me see a gas station. And when I see a little like hand-painted sign by this beautiful little Vermont, quintessential Vermont house with the barn out back and whatever. And it says small engine repair. And the truck is just like, it's jerking. I just pull into their driveway. And I'm like, oh my God. So figure I guess whatever, I'm desperate, I'm gonna need some help. And a woman comes out like a minute later. I'm getting out of the truck, she's coming out the front door, wondering. Now it's literally like 5:30 in the morning, or maybe it's 6:30, whatever time the sun comes up in March. So probably 6:30, 6:45. It's pre-dawn, and this woman comes out and she's looking at me, and here I am in this weird little school bus. And I tell her, I said, I am so sorry. My truck is leaking oil. It's like pouring oil out the back. I'm sure it's empty. I don't know. And I'm telling her the whole story. I'm so tired. And she's like, let me get my husband. She goes in the house, gets the old man. He comes out and he says, I just asked him, like, do you have any oil that I could buy? So he and the wife go back to the shop behind, and they're collecting oil. And there's like, when you put oil in a truck, there's some left over. Like, you buy 2 quarts, you use 1.5 quarts, and you get that. So they're getting that from all the different shelves in his small engine repair shop. And I hear him, no, not the hydraulic oil, telling her, because she's just getting every kind. He's like, no, not that kind. And they come out with, I don't know, probably like 6 jugs. So altogether, maybe 3 quarts or less. And they give it, and I give them, I said, this is all I have. I give them like $38, which is all I have in cash. And we pour it all in there, and they said the closest gas station that's open is go down here and take a left. So now I have like my 3 quarts of oil in the truck. I go to this gas station that's 24 hours. I buy another, and he's the one that tells me the diesel takes, like probably 12 or 16 quarts of oil. So I go there and I buy, I don't know how many more. I put in like 6. I got 3 or 4 more in the back of the truck. And now I still have to drive from Bennington, Vermont, still all the way to Boston. I've completely overshot my space. So I got to take Route 9 across Vermont. So the whole state of Vermont, pretty much I go like half the state of New Hampshire, and then I drop back down to Route 2. And I have the extra oil in case I have to stop. And as I go, I realize that if I had taken the turn onto Route 2, so if you go from New York and you get on Route 2 to go into Massachusetts, you actually go over what they call the Mohawk Trail, which is a 2-lane mountain road through the Berkshires. And it's a steep road, and there's like literal hairpin turns, right? And like granite walls on the side, zero breakdown lane of any kind for most of that part of the road that they call the Mohawk Trail. And if I had like puttered out there because of the oil on the Mohawk Trail, I would have been literally sitting on a 2-lane mountain pass road with nowhere to pull over, waiting until God knows when somebody showed up, right? And then what? Get a wrecker for this bus? Who knows? So anyway, it was a bit of a blessing that I ended up in Bennington rather than stuck up on the Mohawk Trail somewhere at the top of the Berkshire Mountains. So now I'm in Massachusetts. I get to Route 2. And I'm driving down Route 2, and it's now rush hour. There's all this traffic. Oh, I left out a couple of pieces. Hang on. Let me backtrack. When I first left and decided after I went through the first toll that I had to get off, before I even get off the highway, there are stadies coming up, and I'm like, oh, I slow down, I move over so that they can pass on like a 3-lane expressway. And the cop rolls right by me. I have no plates. He rolls right on by. Doesn't notice, apparently. Then I stopped somewhere in Virginia, right? So I'm in Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. Somewhere, I think, in Virginia, I pull into a rest area, only it's all trucks. It's all 18-wheelers lined up both sides. You see a lot of this down there. I didn't know it at the time. I find a spot, I pull in, I just get out to pee. And as I get back in the truck, I see another statey. And he's coming up the middle of this pass-through rest area with all these 18-wheelers. He's rolling like 2 miles an hour. He's got a clipboard out. Apparently he's checking all these trucks. And I'm there, and I'm like, oh my God. So I get my phone, and I'm looking at, and I'm pretending to myself that I'm mapping something, so I don't want to look at him, and I wait to see what's going to happen. I figure I'm going to have to tell him this whole sob story. And at that point, I had only been up for 2 days. He's literally stopping to look at the plates on every single truck and drives by me. Drives right by me. Like I'm not even there. So, I mean, maybe his job was just to do 18-wheelers, but I'm like, okay, I am invisible. I have a glamour on. I got my invisibility cloak. Nobody can see me. Cops cannot see me. I don't know how many cops I passed on the way. So many. So the whole thing, missing the road, Vermont. Now I'm back in Massachusetts. I'm on Route 2. I get on Route 2. Cop goes by me, doesn't notice me. I get on 128, so you get Route 2, and you get 128 loops around to where I was living, Salem, Massachusetts. And it actually only goes to Peabody. That's beside the point. You can't actually go to Salem on 128. You have to go to Peabody and then go in. Just saying, I don't want to be inaccurate. So now, as I get on 128, and I probably got like 30 miles to go, I'm thinking I've been driving for days. I'm completely exhausted. I am so out of it. And the closer I get to home, the more I am convinced I am going to be caught. I'm going to be like, I came all this way, and I'm going to get pegged like 20 miles from the house and have to get a tow truck or something. And the stadies are rolling by me, Wakefield police, Peabody, everybody. And nobody seems to notice me. This, by the way, has been a trend all these years in the bus as well. Just sort of, I definitely have like some magical protection here on this bus. So I roll by, and I finally get to Salem. It is literally like 10:30 in the morning now on Tuesday. So from Saturday night till I got the flight Sunday evening, maybe I slept a little Saturday night, but certainly from Sunday morning. Now it's Tuesday, like 10:30, 11 o'clock a.m. I get to my place and I go to pull in. And by the way, this bus, when I come into Salem, my house is a zero clearance to the driveway. That's the house driveway, right? House driveway. No grass, no nothing. And on this side, same thing, my neighbor's house. So you literally just have the pavement between the two houses. And as it turns out, I measured it later, the width of my bus, including mirrors, is about 8 inches smaller than the length of, the width of the driveway. Fine, no problem. I'm so tired, I probably didn't even think about it at the time. I was like, oh, this is tight. And the house on the right has this, like, 6x6 beam bolted to the side of the house, probably from years ago, however many people must have, like, driven into the side of that property. So I pull in there, and I pull in the back, and my friend Roy was there, and also my handyman. He was working on some remodeling in my office on the first floor of my house in Salem, which was an office on the first floor and my apartment on the second. And I pull in, and he's just looking because nobody knew I was doing this. I had been looking and shopping for the longest time. Bus. But I don't know if I ever even really mentioned it to Roy. I might have mentioned it to somebody that I was kind of looking. I didn't tell anybody I was going. So here I am. I just roll in this school bus. And, he doesn't know I've been to Kentucky or anything else. And I get out, and he's like, oh, good morning. I look at him, I said, Roy, I think I'm having a midlife crisis. So he just laughed, and oh my God, I was so exhausted, but also so wound up. And I, told him the story and whatnot. And so that is part 2 of how I acquired this bus, and it was a trip. It was a serious trip. So now you know how that happens. Not sure what my next video will be. Might be some of how I renovated it or whatnot, or how I acclimated Artemis to it. But that's the story of how the downsizer, which was unnamed at the time, of how this bus got from Kentucky to Boston on a crazy weekend in March 2020. I hope you enjoyed this story. I'll see you next time on Rain on the Road. And oh, yeah, I'm supposed to say this early on, right? Please subscribe, hit notifications, like, comment. I'd love to hear anybody's feedback, similar stories, anything you want to say. And I'll see you next time, Rain on the Road.